Welcome back to Bake Beyond Belief.
Stefan unfortunately passed away.
Okay, that's what I thought you were going to go for.
He went beyond belief?
He went to the beyond of belief.
Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today we are going to read some creepypastas. Has anyone read creepypastas before?
I don't even know what the hell a creepypasta is.
You've never read one?
I have no idea what it is.
It's like scary stories on the internet.
I've read scary stories on Reddit.
Yeah, it's very similar. Like, it's if you ever been on r/NoSleep.
Probably.
Zack?
Actually read very few, but I used to listen to a lot of the people that did creepypasta readings. There was so many of them, and now most of them don't anymore.
Why?
Eventually don't want to read scary stories all the time. Some people still do, and I don't listen to them anymore, so I don't know. I've listened to many thousands of creepypastas.
Many thousands?
Probably.
Wow.
Well, it's been almost 20 years of creepypastas doing things.
I've been listening to a lot of Creepcast with Papa Meat and Wendigoon, I think. Yes. Wendigoon. I don't know why I was lacking confidence in saying that. I know that's what his YouTube thing is. But anyways, we have two stories that we're going to read today. Two of them were Zack recommended, and the last one, well, not recommended.
I remembered the name. We'll get when we get to it. We'll probably the reason why I remembered the name will stick, and then we're also gonna have a creepypasta in the middle, which is sometimes children would try and write creepypastas and be really bad, so they put those on creepypasta instead.
Nice.
This one was made on purpose to be bad.
Ah, got it.
But
which one is that?
The middle one.
What?
We're gonna start with Ickbarr Bigelsteine by Stefan D. Harris, or Stephen D. Harris. I don't know.
This name stuck in my head for 10 years.
Ickbarr
Bigelsteine.
So we've all got roles to read in this creepypasta story, Alex.
I'm a child.
I'm Ickbarr.
I will be narrating, which means I'm basically the whole thing.
Sick.
When I was a small child, I was terrified of the dark. I still am, but back when I was around 6 years old, I couldn't go a full night without crying out for one of my parents to search beneath my bed or in my closet for whatever monster I thought was waiting to eat me. Even with a nightlight, I would see dark shapes moving around the corners of my room, or strange faces looking in on me from my bedroom window. My parents would do their best to console me, telling me that it was just a bad dream or a trick of the light, but in my young mind, I was positive the second I fell asleep, the bad things would get me. Most of the time, I would just hide under the blankets until I became tired enough to stop worrying, but even every now and then, I would become so panicked that I would run screaming into my parents' room, waking up my brothers and sisters in the process. After an ordeal like that, there would be no way anyone would be getting a full night's rest. Eventually, after one particularly traumatizing night, my parents have had enough. Unfortunately for them, they understood the futility of arguing with a 6-year-old and knew that they would be unable to convince me to rid myself of childish fears through reason and logic. They had to be clever. It was my mother's idea to stitch together my little bedtime friend. How do you feel about having a little bedtime friend?
I don't particularly like it.
You don't like having a bedtime friend?
Yeah.
He wants a big one.
He wants a real one.
Yeah.
Well, there's a little picture attached to this as well. I just want you to imagine that's his little bedtime friend.
Weird.
Do you like him?
He looks like a enthusiastic guy.
I remembered when I was listening to this story, I was playing the video game Ni no Kuni, and I imagined Ickbarr as Drippy, High Lord of Affairs. It's a weird guy with like a nose and a lantern in it. I don't know why, but that memory just blasted in.
Okay, cool.
My mother collected a large assortment of random pieces of fabric and her sewing machine and created what I would later refer to as Mr. Ickbarr Bigelsteine. I believe it's Stein. E-I is I noise. Steen or Stein? This is a Berenstain Bears situation, I think.
I think it's Steen.
Yeah,
Ickbarr Bigelsteine.
E-I, it's usually the second letter that you hear.
I like Bigelstein. I like Bigelstein better.
You just said both things.
I meant to say Stein.
Okay, you like Stein. Zack likes Stein. We'll go with Stein.
All right. My mother collected a large assortment of random pieces of fabric and her sewing machine and created what I would later refer to as Mr. Ickbarr Bigelsteine, or Ick for short. Ick was a sock monster, as my mom called him. He was made to keep me safe while I slept at night by scaring away all the other monsters. He was pretty damn creepy, I had to admit. Honestly, looking back on it now, I'm still impressed that my mom could think of something so strange and disturbing looking. Ickbarr had the stitched together look of a Frankenstein gremlin with a big white button eyes and floppy cat ears. His little arms and legs were were made from a pair of my sister's black and white striped socks, and the half of his face that was green was made from one of my brother's tall football socks. His head could have been described as bulbous, and for his mouth, my mom attached a piece of white fabric and sewed a zigzag pattern to shape a wide grin of sharp teeth. I loved him at once.
Sharp teeth.
Shark teeth?
Sharp. I don't like that for like, I get it. Like the mom probably hasn't really, she's not an expert in making bedtime friends.
Or
Yep.
she might be.
The idea that a monster is the thing that scare away the other monsters, I guess.
Oh,
That's what it said. Monsters scares away the other monsters.
Ah.
I actually really like that concept. Like you have a monster friend to help you with other monsters.
So a scarecrow is. Well, but it's not a crow. It's meant to scare crows.
Yeah, because crows don't know if a person was watching them steal, they'd get shot. But a crow doesn't have a gun. Scarecrow doesn't have a gun.
It's true.
I remember growing up. This is gonna sound so metal. But when I was like a little kid and I was like scared of monsters, and it's like the thing that I would like convince myself is that I'm scarier than the monsters, and that's how I would like cope. Did you guys do that?
No, but what I used to do is I read online somewhere that ghosts don't like sexual activity because they can't have it. If I got scared of ghosts, I'd just jerk off in the middle of the night.
Would you do, the most of the time when you're scared, like 6 to 12, like the before? That's
No.
usually the I'm scared of the dark times.
Yeah.
You're-
Were you like 6?
No, I was a little older. I was scared. I was a scared teenager.
Okay. Well, we'll try that out next time.
Yeah.
Next time I'm afraid of ghosts.
Just start jerking off, dude. Ghost hunting is going to be crazy, boys.
I never understood when people go ghost hunting, they're always scared of the ghosts. But like, isn't the point? Like if we went ghost hunting and I got murdered by a ghost, that's the goal. That'd be the dream. Killed by a ghost.
Is
on a
it
ghost hunt.
murder if it's by a ghost?
I mean, they'd be a person, technically.
Would they?
I don't know.
Died suddenly of unknown.
But I feel like you had proof. You were standing. If we went ghost hunting and the ghost eye like floated up and ripped in half, like that, obviously a fucking ghost did that. And I think murdered by a ghost.
What is the definition of murder, though?
Stop.
Yeah, I don't know.
Stop.
If an animal kills you,
We're not getting into that.
Yes.
Nope. Veto. We're reading spooky
Okay.
stories, and Zach's gonna continue.
One second.
What are you doing?
I just want to.
You don't say it. Don't say it.
The unlawful, premeditated killing of one human being by another. So it wouldn't be murder.
oh yeah,
Okay.
I guess a ghost can't murder you. From then on, Ick never left my side. So long as it was after dark, of course. Ick didn't like the sun and would get upset if I tried to bring him to school with me. But that's okay. I only needed him at night to keep away the boogeymen, which was what he was good at. So every night at bedtime, Ick would tell me where the monsters were hiding, and I would place him near that section of my room, closet. Only the closet? Sorry. This sentence confused me. So every night at bedtime, Ick would tell me where the monsters are hiding, and I would place him near the section of my room closest to the spookiness. If there was something in the closet, Ick would block the door. If there was a dark creature scratching my window, Ick would be pressed up against the glass. If there was a big hairy beast under my bed, then under the bed he went. Sometimes the monsters weren't even in my room. Sometimes they would hide in my dreams, and Ickbarr would come with me into my nightmares. It was fun bringing Ick into my dream world, and he and I would spend hours fighting off ghouls and demons. The best part was, in my dreams, Ick could talk to me for real.
How much do you love me?
He would ask.
More than anything.
I would always tell him. One night in a dream after I had lost my first tooth, Ick asked me for a favor.
Can I have your tooth?
I asked him why.
To help me kill the bad things.
The next morning at breakfast, my mom asked me where my tooth went. From what she told me, the tooth fairy didn't find it under my pillow. When I told her that I gave it to Ickbarr, she just shrugged and went back to feeding my little sister. From then on, every time I lost a tooth, I would give it to Ick. He would always thank me, of course, and tell me that he loved me. Eventually, though, I ran out of baby teeth, and I was beginning to get a little too old to still be playing with dolls. So Ick just sat there on my bookshelf collecting dust, slowly fading away from my attention.
So this is like a weird thing. Like as a kid, like I never, I don't know about you guys, but I never had like a fictional character in my head that I would like talk to.
I did.
And like, would it respond in your head?
I had an imaginary friend. He was named Summer Sausage.
I never had an imaginary
I
friend.
was a really chubby
Me
kid.
neither.
You're the weird one.
Sorry, I just got it. But would it respond to you? Like,
I don't know.
would you feel like it did in a comprehensible way to you?
Maybe. I was really young.
So not no is what Alex is saying.
I never had an imaginary friend, and even like I have to try pretty hard to visually imagine something. I usually don't, like unless it's important to remember something visually isn't.
I can like if I get into a certain way, like a certain state where I'm like focusing on my breathing, like trying to relax, I like put myself in a zone, I can like I kind of have like things come to me, and like in a way I can like imagine it in my mind visually. I can do that, but like a response that like from something else, I would just think I'm crazy.
Do you ever like talk to yourself though? Like ask yourself questions and answer them like out loud and stuff like that?
Like the only thing I ever ask myself is what am I doing? But usually that jogs my memory.
Like sometimes I'll put on like sometimes in my car I'll like talk to myself while I'm going through like a stressful situation. I'll be like, how do I feel about this? And then I'll answer it, and then I'll question myself. I'll have a conversation with myself.
Yeah, I don't actually talk out loud, but I definitely think conversations for myself.
I talk out loud. I find it helps.
Yeah, the only time I talk out loud is when I'm confused about a situation. I need to figure that out.
What about Tooth Fairy? Your parents do a Tooth Fairy thing? My parents never did. They gave me money when I lost a tooth, but it was like hide it under your pillow and somebody will steal it.
My mom did.
Yeah, my parents did that too, but they sometimes forgot to take the tooth, so I just got money, and I was like, oh,
well, maybe the Tooth Fairy like didn't have enough, but they knew you deserved it.
Hell yeah.
Or maybe you like stirred in the night, and they're like, fuck, we can't get the tooth.
But they put the money.
Yeah, but they're like they put the money, and then you like shuffled, and they're like, fuck, gotta get out of here.
Maybe.
You're a disturbed child.
Could be.
Over time, the nightmares, however, became worse than ever, so bad that they even began to follow me into the waking world, terrorizing every dark corner or rustle in the bushes. After one particularly bad night, biking home from a friend's house where I swore a pack of rabid dogs were chasing me, I got home to find something strange waiting for me in my room. There, on my bed, standing fully upright in the soft glow of the moonlight from my window, was Ickbarr. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me again. They had been all evening, so I tried to flick on the lights. Another flick of the light switch, then another and another, with no change in the darkness. It was then that I started to get nervous. I backed away slowly towards the door behind me.
You know what's something crazy about that? I know that like I'm having a nightmare or like a bad dream when I go to like in my dream, I'm present and I understand it. And I'm like, something seems off. Why are the lights off? And I go to flick on the light and the light doesn't come on. And that's when I know in my brain that I'm having a bad dream.
I always said before, I never remember my dreams.
That's crazy. I remember so many dreams.
So unclear if I've ever had a nightmare.
I have. I've had good dreams and bad dreams.
That's cool.
I backed away slowly towards the door behind me, my eyes never leaving the shape of Ick's silhouette. My hand awkwardly outstretched behind, reaching for the doorknob. I was just about to get my ass out of there when I heard the door slam itself shut, locking me into the blackness. In nothing but shadows and silence, I stood frozen in place, not even breathing. For how long, I can't say, but after what felt like a lifetime of cold fear, I heard a shrill, familiar voice.
You stopped feeding me, so why should I protect you?
Protect me from what?
Let me show you.
I blinked once, and everything changed. I wasn't in my bedroom anymore. I was somewhere else. It wasn't hell, but the comparison wasn't far off. It was some sort of forest, a horrible nightmarish place, where partial embryonic abortions hung from the canopy, and the ground swarmed with carnivorous insects. A thick fog wafted through the air, and with a stench of rotting meat, chartreuse lightning flashed across the night sky. In the distance, I could hear the agonizing screams of something not quite human. My head throbbed like it was about to explode. The pain forcing out a river of tears in my mind, I heard his voice again.
This is what your reality would become without me.
I felt earth-shaking footsteps approaching fast.
I'm the only one who can stop it.
It was behind me now, huge and angry, hot breath across my back.
Bring me what I need and I will.
I woke up before I could turn around. The following day, I raided my parents' closet for my brother's baby teeth, giving them all to Ickbarr. Almost immediately, the night terrors ceased, and it was more or less able to go about my life as normal. From time to time, I would sneak into my little sister's room and snatch what was meant for the tooth fairy, or strangle one of the neighborhood cats to pry out its sharp little incisors.
Fuck.
That was a jump.
Yep, that's an escalation.
All right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I would take my baby sister's teeth as they fell out. I'd kill a couple fucking animals, you know.
Maybe I don't know when this was written.
They're eating the cats.
It was like early 2000s, probably.
Probably the odds, yeah.
Yeah, so like there was an Amazon.
Yeah. I don't even buy. Actually, people probably fucking sell teeth on
I was
Amazon.
just like, can you fucking do that?
Oh yeah.
Show an Amazon listing of teeth.
But he can talk to it, so he could ask if it's good enough, even if it wasn't like maybe other. You could definitely order animal teeth on Amazon. So if this was your reality, you could make it work.
Anything to ward off the visions. Anything from a shark tooth necklace to a cavity-ridden bicuspid. I also began to notice that Ick would move about my room whenever I left for any length of time, rearranging my stuff and hanging additional curtains. He was even beginning to look more lifelike. Somehow, in the right light, his teeth would glisten, and he was warm to the touch. As much as he creeped me out, I couldn't work up the courage to destroy him, knowing perfectly well where that would leave me. So I went on collecting teeth for Ick throughout all of high school and college. The older I got, the more things I would learn to fear, the more teeth Ick would need to keep me safe. I'm 22 now, with a decent job, my own apartment, and a set of dentures. It's been almost a month since Ick's last meal, and the horrors are starting to crowd around me once more. I took a detour through the parking garage after work tonight, found a man fumbling with his car keys. His teeth were stained yellow from a lifetime of cigarettes and coffee. Even still, I had to use a hammer to get out the molars. When I got back to my apartment, he was waiting for me. On the ceiling, in the corner, 2 white eyes, and a mouth of razors.
How much do you love me?
Is he not? He's not like 22 now?
Yeah.
More than anything.
I replied, taking off my coat.
More than anything in the world.
That's Ickbarr Bigelsteine.
Oh, okay.
That was kind of freaky.
It was a little there, yeah.
A little like.
I didn't remember the specifics, but I remembered a kid that got a imaginary friend that ate his teeth.
It's crazy how you like killed somebody to like take their teeth. Like I personally would just like, if this was my reality, I would just be like, I'm going through school to be a fucking dental hygienist or some shit like that, you know?
He was only 22. I don't think you can be a
Street
Dental
Yeah,
hygienist at 22? Absolutely you can.
Yeah,
but, like where you can
definitely
keep the teeth.
Well, you know.
Well, you wouldn't tell them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's less like, you know, aggressive than just killing people for their teeth.
Well, he's been killing animals for like 5 years at that point.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
You would need to basically, because like a dental hygienist is a hygienist is like I think it's a 2-year college program here.
Maybe.
But
There'd have to be like the surgeries though to get the teeth.
Yeah, but they put them somewhere in the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
And you get your foot in the door and
then
like,
your hand in the teeth bin, you know?
Yeah.
Imagining just a garbage bill full of teeth is upsetting.
Well, they put them like you'll be there while the doctor is performing. Would they?
Hygienist? Maybe an assistant, a dental assistant.
I don't know. Anybody
Either way.
Anybody watching this is a dental hygienist. Tell me what they do with the teeth.
Yeah.
Well, they usually give them back.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
They usually put them in one of those little teeth chests. I guess you could be like, could I have it? Which would make you seem really fucking weird, but also worth, I guess, in your situation.
Yeah. Where else do you think you could just get teeth?
Amazon.
Yeah.
eBay.
Yeah. Or like work at like the fucking morgue. Like become like a mortician, you know?
That one would be a longer career path though.
I don't think it would be. To be a mortician, just to work in a morgue, like a funeral director or something like that.
I think so. I think, or like you're like, you know, it's
work like a crematorium.
I feel like there's education needed for that.
Why? You're not going to hurt anyone.
No, you're not. But like, it's still a little more delicate than working with teeth.
Or like work at like a graveyard.
Yeah, Yeah, if you're like security at a graveyard.
Yeah.
Dig up a grave
or two a night, you know, take some teethers home.
Oh, did you hear there's like a controversy thing? One graveyard in somewhere in the States like said like we're closed after hours. You have to pay a fee to get a membership card to get in after hours. And people are like, I want to fucking pay to visit my dead relative. It's like, well, you can come during open hours. It's like, that's fucking weird.
But I kind of get it.
Also, yeah, maintenance costs for those places when it's like one purchase.
If people have a membership, that means that they have staff to check said membership.
I don't know.
I don't know. I just come during opening hours. It's not like they're going to go anywhere.
All right. Do we want to go to the next spooky?
Okay. I think we'll do the palate cleanser.
The palate cleanser before the really...
I only have 2 papers.
Yeah. The other one.
That one's right. You didn't read that one yet.
No, I know. I'm just saying I only have 2. You guys, there's 3 stories.
You'll get the third. That was Ickbarr. Do you like my Ickbarr, by the way?
It was all right. It sounded monstery.
It sounds like you, but smoked since you were 12. It sounds like you.
I could imagine that voice is made by somebody made of socks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It sounds like AJ, but AJ with a hint of Marge Simpson.
old Marge Simpson where she had the awful or her mom.
I was going for like Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito.
That's what I pictured.
I remember being at MagFest and then there was a shrine to Danny DeVito and I thought Danny DeVito died, but he didn't die.
Let's go to the next story. It is called The Supermarket Monster. Who's the Supermarket Monster by?
Kevin, call me Kevin. Oh, something. He has super Irish last name. I forget which one it is. He's a YouTube guy.
All I found was his handle, but you should be able to find, if you want to find anything by this individual, it's Call Me Kevin.
Yeah, he used to do lots of troll things, but then got too famous and people recognized his voice and couldn't do with him anymore.
I can imagine that.
Yeah. The Supermarket Monster by Kevin, call me Kevin O'Reilly. Once in a place far away.
Roger.
You're Ann Boy? Once in a place very far away, a very long time ago, there was Ann Boy named Roger. He was tall, but a bit round. He lived in a big city where unusual things seemed to happen every day. For example, his uncle died. Anyway, Roger had lots of enemies in the city. All the people he used to like were now his enemies because he changed. He used to be a real successful banker named Ron, but he decided to go another way, and now he's a hobo named Roger. Because of this, his friends thought they don't like him anymore, and they said,
"You're our enemy now."
And Roger was like,
"Oh no, I have no friends but loads of enemies."
Roger lives day to day by the change he gets off strangers outside McDonald's, but sometimes when he gets enough money, he goes to the local shopping center called Teco. He can only buy things when they are on sale, so he only buys things when they are on sale because he doesn't have any much money. Sometimes he gets enough change to buy chicken when it's on sale, and he goes to the KFC and says,
"Can you cook this for me?" I said, "Wow, can you please cook this?"
And they do it because they're his enemies and they spit in the food. Yuck. Today, on the most windy and stormy day, and rainy and cloudy and sad of days, he needed to eat, and he went to Teco. When he went inside, there were no baskets. This was weird. Roger thought they must be giving them a break today, so he kept going. He saw that 3 bread was on sale, so he was going to buy it. And then a big fat hairy man ran up to him and said,
"No, that's not for you. For you."
And he took the sale sign away and made the bread go back up to $100,000. This is all in the future, so that's normal for the future. Roger made a face similar to this. And he said,
But if you don't give me that, I'll starve.
And the fat man laughed, and his fat went bouncy from laughing. Then
What is the descriptor? His fat went bouncy from laughing.
Oh, yeah. Then one of Ron's enemies died, so Ron felt his anger rising. This happens when one of his enemies die. And he punched the man so hard that his fat fell off, and the man was so angry that he cried blood. Then the lights went out so fast that Roger knew he was going to be murdered. A black mist came out of the cereal boxes. The bacon was flying everywhere. Pancake mix splashing over the counters. Freezers freezing at a higher temperature than normal, so that it was freezing the frozen pizzazas. Too much.
Pizzazas.
Ron ran away, far away, to that aisle that's always full of people. It has like loads of sodas and crisps. Yummy. There was like 15 monsters there, all black with eyes ooging with blood and tears that looked like bacon but were actually dead people's skin. He screamed,
"Fat man, help!"
But when the fat man came, he said,
Yep. Sorry, I almost did the fucking same voice you're doing. "You punched me fat, and now you will pay. I am your enemy."
And then he ran and went inside a freezer, but forgot that the freezers froze too hard now, and he died from freeze. Roger ran to an exit and was almost out when he tripped on something. He looked down and saw his enemy saying,
"Help me. The pancakes were too string."
And then he said,
"No, I'm Roger. You were Ron's friend, not mine. Smelly."
And he ran out the door. He was safe. He got out. He escaped. He avoided death. He was alive. He was tall. He was safe. He was Roger. Then he went back in for bread, but forgot about the monsters. So when he got the bread, the monsters came out between the slices and cried blood from their mouths, saying,
"We are your enemies, Ron."
He said,
"How do you know my old name?"
And then they ate him, and he just fell down on the floor crying from death. His last words were,
"I am all your enemies."
And then he fell down and died. Just before he died, he said,
"I will now be a supermarket monster."
So when you are in the supermarket, remember that Ron is waiting in the future, though, because this is the future.
Remember?
Remember?
Holy
So,
fuck.
how'd you like that one?
That one was fucking hard to like listen to.
I love that
But
one.
also, I really liked Alex's Trump. Or, sorry, what was his name?
Ron or Roger.
Yeah, Ron or Roger.
Okay, I really liked Alex's Ron or Roger.
It's the same guy, just one's a hobo and one's a businessman.
We do not support vaping. Vaping bad.
Oh, it's better just not talk about it.
Vaping good.
Yeah, I like that. It's so stupid, but I love that one.
I liked it. I liked there's a part that I really liked.
Where his fat went bouncy from laughing.
Oh yeah. I like that one.
Smelly.
But there was one spelling error that you missed. It said then he went back.
Yeah, it's so hard to.
Yeah.
I tried my best
Because like when you read like that, you fill in. You anticipate the next word, and like when you see went, it's just went. You just ignore the spelling mistake. I have to do that with Stefan so fucking much.
Oh, I know. Stefan is the worst speller.
Stefan's just the worst.
Can we just shit talk Stefan now?
He's not here.
Yeah, exactly.
He can't do anything.
No, he can't. He doesn't do anything anyway.
He's gonna watch this.
Good.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Definitely.
right.
Yeah. He's so awful at spelling. My favorite thing that Stefan does is he will ignore every message you send prior, and then when you send a message relating to it, he's just like, "What?"
Well, we talked about this. I addressed this the one time with him, but the thing that he does is he will ignore what you say to him, and then just read a couple words and say "what," and then you could like copy and paste it, and then he'll understand it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so infuriating. I'm gonna bite my tongue here. Because this is about creepypastas and not about Stefan, even though the one was written by Stefan. You got anything else to say about that one, Zach?
Nah, that one for a long time people didn't know if it's honest or not. Like we learned later that it was on purpose bad, but it's really hard to make something on purpose bad that feels believably bad. I think it did. I would believe a child wrote that, especially the inconsistent spelling mistakes. Because enemy was spelled every possible wrong way. And not right even once.
True.
Anyway, we're switching around for story 3, I think.
Yep.
So do your best Russian accent for this.
No, buddy, that's not happening. I can't do accents to save my fucking life. You shouldn't.
We want you to do it though. Just try a Russian accent for this one, Alex. It is called the Russian sleep experiment after all. All right. So this is the Russian sleep experiment. It was posted by someone named Orange Soda. That was their like username when they posted it. I don't believe there's an actual like official name of the person.
I'm not sure.
Okay, well we don't truly know, but
maybe because I know somebody tried to make a movie, I think. So, but I don't know. This is one of the big like famous early creepypastas that went like, if you only know a couple creepypastas, this one's probably one of them.
I've definitely heard of this one before, and I think I've read this one.
You've read this one?
I think so. I thought it was real though.
I don't know. This started like a whole genre of like World War II weird military testing.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, all right.
The Russian Sleep Experiment by Orange Soda. Okay.
Nice.
Great
start, yeah.
Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them. Since it was toxic in high concentrations, this was before closed-circuit cameras, so they only had microphones and 5-inch thick glass porthole-sized windows into the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on, but no bedding, running water, and toilet, and enough dried food to last all 5 for over a month. The test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II.
That doesn't follow the Geneva Convention.
What, like torturing war prisoners?
Yeah.
All right. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained, having been promised falsely that they would be freed if they submitted to the tests and did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored. It was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidents in their past, and the general tone of their conversations took on a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternating whispering to the microphones and one-way mirrored portholes. Oddly, they all seemed to think that they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their comrades, the other subjects in captivity with them. At first, the researchers suspected this was an effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued attempting to speak, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. The most surprising thing about this behavior is how the other captives reacted to it, or rather, didn't react to it. They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The 2 non-screaming captives took the book apart, smeared page after page with their own feces, and pasted them calmly over the glass portholes. The screaming promptly stopped. So did the whispering to the microphones. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working. Since they thought it was impossible that no sound could be coming with 5 people inside, the oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives they were afraid were either dead or vegetables. They announced,
"We are opening the chamber to test. Microphones, step away from the door and lie flat on the floor or you'll be shot. Compliance will earn one of your immediate freedom. Comrade."
Comrade wasn't in there.
To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in a calm voice response.
"We no longer want to be freed."
Wow.
Wow.
As the researchers, how would you feel about that?
We're like, shit.
I think 5 days with no information is too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I feel like if you hear nothing, because that's what it said, right? You hear nothing?
Yep.
Okay. If you hear nothing for like a day, that's fucking weird. Like, these are living, breathing people that need things.
It's almost like this is a poorly designed test.
Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of loved ones, to turn the gas back on. The chamber was open and soldiers sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state that any of them in life. The food rations past day 5 had not been so much as touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead test subjects, thighs and chests stuffed into the drain in the center of the chamber, blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much the water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving test subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth, as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that most, if not all of them, were self-inflicted. The abdominal organs below the ribcage of all 4 test subjects had been removed, while the heart, lungs, diaphragm remained in place. The skin and most of the muscles attached to the ribs had been ripped off, exposing the lungs through the rib cage. All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the eviscerated but still living bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all four could be seen to be working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent what they were digesting was their own flesh that they had ripped off and eaten over the course of days. Most of the soldiers were Russian specialty operatives at the facility, but still refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. They continued to scream to be left in the chamber and alternately begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on lest they fall asleep. To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Russian soldiers died from having his throat ripped out. Another was gravely injured by having his testicles ripped off and an artery in his leg severed by one of the test subject's teeth.
Huh? How do you feel about that?
That sucks for the guy. That sucks for the guy who got it done, especially the testicles. That's fucking a little personal, but
Not the throat ripped out guy? Fuck that guy.
He's not really feeling anything.
I mean, I'm sure he did feel it.
Yeah, he's not anymore, though.
Could you live without your boys?
I can't live without my throat. Well, I guess you can, technically. I guess that's the whole fucking...
Could you live without your boys?
My boys? Yeah.
No, your boys.
My boys? My balls?
Your boys.
My boys? Like my homies?
Your balls. God damn it.
Yeah, I guess.
I think you'd be mostly fine. It would suck.
You just wouldn't be able to have kids, like
Yeah.
and take testosterone.
Yeah. AJ's thought of this.
Another 5 of the soldiers lost their lives, if you count the ones that committed suicide in the weeks following the incident. In this struggle, one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured and he bled out almost immediately. I hated that I went to say instantly, but the word was immediately. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, and this proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the human dose of morphine derivative and still fought like a cornered animal, breaking the ribs and arm of the one doctor. When Hart was seen... Sorry, it's just worded weird.
Yeah.
When Hart was seen to beat for a full 2 minutes after he bled out, to the point where there was more air in his vascular system than blood. Even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach, and just repeating the word, "More!" over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility, the 2 with intact vocal cords continuously begging for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. The most injured of the 3 was taken to the only surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back within his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative they had given him to prepare him for the surgery. He fought furiously against his restraints when the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him under. He managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch wide leather strap on his wrist, even though the weight of a 200-pound soldier holding that wrist as well. It took only a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under, and the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy of the test subject that died on the operating table, it was found that the blood had triple the normal level of oxygen. His muscles that were attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he had broken 9 bones in the struggle to not be subdued. Most of them were the force of his own muscles had exerted on them. I don't, it's hard for me to read this because I don't know if oxygen itself, like a surplus of oxygen, would make you... Sorry, because he has triple the level of normal oxygen. I know there was a gas being pumped in, but it just doesn't feel...
Yeah, I don't know, because I know if people go deep sea diving, they can't breathe pure oxygen because it messes you up. So I don't know, but obviously you also can't live with all your organs just out.
No, definitely not.
And their lungs were exposed. I don't think you can breathe if your lungs are just out because they can't pull a vacuum.
That's true. Actually, I don't know if that's true. Sometimes I just agree on this podcast and with no basis. I'm just like, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know what the point is. I don't know. But I know, even if your lungs were working, if they were not encased, I don't think they work properly.
It makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
With the way the diaphragm is set up. It feels like it needs to be in a closed structure.
But
Is it it's like a muscle that pulls down, right?
but I don't know. It's a story. It doesn't super matter. But
Do you know what happens to divers when they have too much oxygen or pure?
I don't know. You like get high and you stop thinking what's going on, and they usually don't last too long.
Okay.
I don't never been deep diving, but I know they have to mess with because most of the air is nitrogen, and that's why you can't come up after you go deep because the nitrogen compresses and will expand and fuck you up from the inside. So I don't know, but I haven't done it. Some of the stories of deep sea diving stuff is interesting.
The second survivor had been the first of the group of the 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed, he was unable to beg or object to surgery, and he only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested reluctantly they try surgery without anesthetic. Did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with what remained of his skin. The surgeon presiding stated repeatedly that it should be medically possible for the patient to still be alive.
I think that's backwards.
Yeah.
This is fine.
It's supposed to be medically impossible?
Probably. I would assume the doctor would be like, yeah, well, I've done this a bunch of times. This is perfectly medically possible.
What the fuck? So it should be medically impossible that he survived.
I would assume.
Or that he's alive, rather. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that she had seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming this must be something of drastic importance, the surgeon had a pen and pad fetched so that the patient could write his message. It was simple.
Keep cutting.
My God. That is fucking awful response.
Yep. It's almost like these people aren't okay.
You know what? I'm starting to think they might have had a bit too much gas. The gas wasn't that good for them. The other 2 test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well, although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation. The surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were again asking for stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking why they had injured themselves, why they had ripped out their own guts, and why they wanted to be given the gas again. Only one response was given.
I must remain awake.
All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced and they were placed back into the chamber awaiting determination as to what should be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of their military benefactors for having failed the stated goals of their project, considered euthanizing the surviving subjects. The commanding officer, an ex-KGB, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected, but were overruled. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all 3 stopped struggling the moment it was let slip that they were going back on the gas. It was obvious that at this point, all 3 were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might, first left, then right, then left, for something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off the pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired for the EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brainwaves in surprise. They were normal most of the time, but sometimes flatlined inexplicably. It looked as if they were repeatedly suffering brain death before returning to normal. As they focused on paper, scrolling out on the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut at the same moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to a deep sleep, then flatlined for the last time as his heart simultaneously stopped. The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwaves showed the flat lines as a one who had just died from falling asleep. The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside, as well as 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes, then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. What the fuck?
He didn't want to be locked in there.
I fully understand that. That's a fucked up call. And it's like, the researchers got to get in there too. He pointed his gun at the remaining subject, still restrained to a bed, as the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room.
I won't be locked in here with these things, not with you.
He screamed at the man strapped to the table.
What are you?
He demanded.
I must know.
The subject smiled.
Have you forgotten so easily? We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go to the nocturnal heaven where we cannot tread.
The researcher paused, then aimed at the subject's heart and fired. The EEG flatlined as the subject weakly choked out.
So nearly free.
Weird.
That one's a classic.
Classic.
That was a classic. I didn't like, there was like errors though.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just the version that I have.
Maybe.
I'm sure it's been fixed. It kind of like fucked with the flow for me.
Mm-hmm.
Besides my naturally fucking the flow.
Yeah, we're not practiced at. The last time I read out loud was probably like almost 20 years ago.
Holy fuck.
Like when do I actually read out loud in school? Like when you're like learning to read.
I know I had to read out loud in school in like grade 11.
Like do a presentation, but then I wouldn't like directly read it. Like I'm trying to think like when I was like, we're all reading this book. You read this paragraph and the next person, and that had to be like elementary school.
I know we did like a Romeo Juliet thing out loud in high school.
That was lame.
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't remember.
Anyways, we should talk about the story here. It's definitely freaky. Like, what is the end alluding to? Is it alluding to like possession or something?
Like the reason we sleep is because there's some monster in us that wants to get out.
Maybe.
There's a monster in us that wants to get out.
Yeah, because those people went crazy and violent, and they said the reason that people sleep is so you don't become that.
Mm-hmm.
It's freaky. It's a little unbelievable that like
I think people have stayed awake for longer than. No, I don't think 14 days, but
no, I think you start like I think you
I forget
die.
The world record is, but it's like almost that much, and they didn't rip their own guts out.
No, I think you just like I think you start to like organ
it really
fail.
fucks you up.
Like I think like organs start failing and shit once you're awake for too long, and like more so than like lack of water and lack of food.
Mm-hmm.
Like sleep fucks you up more than both of those deprivations.
The longest for an astonishing 11 days and 25 minutes.
11 days and 25. Yeah, so that's probably like the absolute most, and some people would probably die at that.
They almost died and almost certainly fucked up the health for the rest of his life, but he did not rip his guts out.
So it's this gas that's
pretty unclear.
Supposedly
the galaxy gas they're using.
I think that puts you to sleep, not keep you awake, but
I think it makes you go ooh.
Literally just starves your brain of oxygen.
I'm sorry, but one thing with the story that like kind of fucks me up, there's like these researchers, and then like the military personnel was like, okay, we're gonna put the remaining test subjects in there now, and the researchers they also have to go in.
Yeah,
like what the fuck?
Why do the researchers have guns?
Yeah, I don't know. It said it was his gun. Not like he stole a gun from somebody. Yeah, why would he have a gun if he was going to get locked in there?
Yeah.
I don't know, for the end of the story, I guess. How was your first experience with Creepypasta?
It just kind of sounds like stories that I just read on Reddit. You know, it's nothing crazy. I didn't realize they were called creepypastas. I just thought they were just stories.
Creepypasta is like the OG name because there was a site called Creepypasta that people would post them on. But also like pasta is like a short form thing for like copy paste.
Mm-hmm.
So like creepypasta, so it's like a creepy copy and paste. So people would share these stories all over. So that's just like where the term creepypasta came from.
Got it.
But like r/no sleep, if things originate there, sometimes they just call them no sleeps, like if they started there. But like these ones are like OG internet scary stories that people just wrote like on their own, and like that's one of the beauties of the internet.
People still do it. There's still plenty, and a lot of people that do it are like a lot of people that did some of the old ones are professional writers, and they have books of them. And
crazy.
I feel like I could do it if I had a concept, like a cool concept.
Yeah, horror is a tough one because it's really the concept's the most important part, and the rest of it kind of doesn't. I mean, it definitely matters, especially the ending. If you can't end it well, that's
I feel like
horror stories just like the end. They monster got killed, so we don't have any conclusion.
I feel like you almost have to start with the ending.
Yeah,
like you figure out the ending, and then you can you go back to the beginning. And then you're like, okay, I have to add these little tidbits throughout it.
Yeah.
That's actually such a like, I have a very like mathematical brain when it comes to structure of things. Like with writing in school, I remember writing at any point in time, really, I have very like mathematical brain and like where things go. I'm like, okay, you make a point, now you explain it. Okay, in this paragraph, you want to stay on topic, explain there's another point, and then you explain it, and like those type of things. That's how things make sense to me. I don't know. I think the stories were pretty cool. I liked Ickbarr. I wish that it was longer. Like where, like I would have liked to see the progression of him from like
Child
he
to like adult more.
I think part of that is a consequence of how old it is, because people didn't want long stories back then. They got pissed off when the stories were too long.
Like I really would have liked to see, like, he's like, it started when I was young, like he just wanted teeth and I needed to keep away the nightmares. It's like there was the first time I saw a raccoon in the garbage, and I yanked I held him down, I yanked the teeth out with my dad's pliers or something. That's fucked.
Yeah,
that's fucked up. Like,
a lot
imagery
of these could definitely be expanded upon, and some of them do. A lot of them, like, it's kind of a first draft, and people make a book.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Like, is all the really good ones are really long. Like, we'd be sitting here for hours, which I'd be open to do if people like this.
Yeah,
but we also might just go back to our regular Beyond Belief format.
Yeah, we'll see. People are missing again. It's not a bad idea to just have in the back pocket.
Alex, what did you think of the Russian sleep experiment? I like how the vape caused frequency in the mic.
No, the vape makes that noise.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, anytime I hit it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's the fucking size of a hand grenade. Like, it's huge.
Yeah, just keep saying all the words.
What?
We're monetized now.
Grenades aren't monetizable?
Oh, I guess the curse word. It's the size of a grenade, so.
What do you think of the Russian sleep experiment?
I don't know. It was too trying to be real, but like not. I don't know. It didn't like.
It was too far from the realm of like something that could happen for it to be believable. But I guess like that's kind of the point sometimes.
I don't know. It didn't really like I liked, what was it? What was it? Ickbarr Bigelsteine better. I like that one better. I thought that was cooler.
I guess there's a reason it stuck in my head.
That one was better. The Russian sleep experiment, I was just
but again, I only like all these. I've listened to so many stories. When I hear like the titles, I only kind of remember the main beats. And the same with like sleep experiment. I'm like, okay, they keep people awake, they tear themselves apart, and there's a whole thing like there's some kind of demon trying to get out.
Yeah, I think
that's what I'll remember.
If I were to rate them, it would go Ickbarr Bigelsteine, the supermarket monster thing, and then the Russian sleep experiment.
Meth could keep you awake for like a while.
Yeah, I'm sure it can. Yeah,
Nazis used to.
Does.
give people meth all the time to fight better.
Oh, does anyone have any meth? I'm tired.
I think that's probably good.
Yeah. Alex just like hitting all the trigger words.
Up next, how to do meth.
No, how to make it.
Monetized, demonetized.
I don't know. If you guys did like this different way that we did Bake Beyond Belief, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and definitely comment and tell us that. Alex, is there anything you'd like to say?
Thank you for watching. If you have any good creepypastas for us to read, let us know.
Zach, is there anything you'd like to say?
Goodbye. Like, subscribe, buy merch.
There you go.
This guy.
I was waiting on that one. I was waiting on the most important thing to say.
Good.
I can't believe that makes that sound. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.